My name is Itaia Lausavene. I am 64 years old now. I have a family, great family. I have 6 children and 3 grandchildren. I used to be a public servant of the government as an agriculture staff. I am from the island of Newtown in the northern group, so the drier part of Tuvalu. It's a small place, a very small island. It's just over 2 square kilometers. 2 square kilometers, so that's very small, where you can also grow pulaka or root crop, taro cultivation. And it's quite a large part of the island. There's some mangroves around, but you can actually cultivate root crop. But then you have also pulaka pits. Now, pulaka pits are man-made, big, huge pits where you dig right down to the waterlands. Newtown is quite a bit different from other islands. It's quite higher. So you can tell from its pulaka pits, they're very deep as around 8 feet or more to where you can cultivate. So these were dug out by our ancestors, and that's how they survived. Otherwise, if the pulaka doesn't grow, root crop doesn't grow, they would have moved away because there's water there. So I think they were smart, little islands, but they managed to survive over hundreds and hundreds of years. And that's why we continue this traditional root crop cultivation through this time. The natural swamp, it's associated to that pond, it links to the inland pond. And that's where you see the brackish water coming and also saltwater intrusion from before. But so that's how that brackish water comes. And I think it's also invading the swamp, taro, natural swamp, and also the pulaka pits where they are near to that inland pond and also the swamp area. So I think the changes here, I'm really more about the inundation levels. We are seeing places where there were floods before during high tides, but now you see floods there. It's not that the flood is coming from the coast, but they are coming from beneath. So could be the pressure from sea level rise, I don't know, but those cracks are somehow allowing brackish water to come from under the ground. So one thing that we also see the change is that you are seeing a lot more abandoned pulaka pits. But the climate change impact, it's very obvious on the coastal erosion. You see it on Puraputi, even on my island, there are land, even soil, beach, they're all gone. There are areas where like 10 meters of land, there's no more land there, just reef. So the coast is getting, sort of smaller and smaller, eaten. And the island is more like squeezed because of the coastal erosion. And that's very obvious, not only in my island, but even Punamuti, this capital. You really have to have land to be able to cultivate your food, build a home. Population is growing, but the land never changes, That's how it's so important. The land ownership and share becomes even smaller and smaller as population gets bigger. So that's why we have, I think, if you ask our lawyers, the most cases that you see in court cases are land disputes. And it's just among cousins, brothers, and so that's how important land is. When a brother and a brother go against each other because of the land, that shows how important land is. If it takes away land, then it's going to impact, how people are going to live. And if it's an important agricultural land, maybe a pulakapit, like you see in Nanumanga, they don't have the pulakapit anymore because of the recent cyclone impact, so storm surge. And it just covered, rubble just came on and covered, fill up the whole pulakapit. People have used for hundreds and hundreds of years, survive on. There's not a day that I don't think about climate change. It's always, because I've seen scenarios. I'm getting very emotional. I've seen also cases in other Pacific Islands where well-being of people are being impacted. And looking at some of those extreme cases, we are going in the same pathway. And so, we have to be, more active in the way we look after our country, build, reclaim islands. This king tide that was in February came together with the strong westerly, and it's the first time in Punaput that a major part of all this lagoon road was inundated, flooded, and all rocks thrown onto the road. So that's how worse it is now. It's never happened before. We don't do anything now. People just go if we don't do anything. And there will be no future. Our people will be just living somewhere else. So we are the people, we set their future. We put into their minds what is going to happen if you don't become strong and do good planning for adaptation measures to protect our islands. And there are many ways to do it. We are seeing the advantage of having a reclaimed island on Puna Valley. This area was very vulnerable before. This Vaiaga settlement, very vulnerable before during westerlies and also cyclone. But now it's well protected. There's no inundation, along this coast. But of course, the other side, a bit lower grounds. The climate change is for real. It's impacting us already. And our generation should be guaranteed, the freedom to be able to enjoy their country as it is, without even moving to other places. Enjoy it in a way that it is adapted to the impacts of climate change over time.